Have you ever wondered if the Rosary is against the Bible? The persistent Inquirer certainly thinks so. This individual has delved deep into the scriptures, specifically Matthew's Gospel, where it says, "When you pray, do not use vain repetition." The Inquirer interprets this to mean that the frequent repetition of prayers, particularly in the Rosary, contradicts the teachings of the Bible. They argue that this practice of reciting Hail Marys and Our Fathers again and again may come off as mere vain repetition, a practice that seems to be discouraged in the scriptures. The Inquirer's argument rests on the belief that prayers should be heartfelt and spontaneous, not rehearsed or repetitive. The Rosary, with its structured sequence of prayers, is seen as a potential obstacle to this. But is this interpretation the only one? Let's hear what the Catholic Apologist has to say. The Catholic Apologist takes a different view, arguing that Jesus was against vain or insincere repetition, not all repetition. Consider Matthew 26:44, where Jesus himself is said to have prayed a third time, using the same words. This is a clear indication that even Jesus understood the power of repetition. It's not the repetition itself that is problematic, but the intention behind it. If the repetition is sincere and heartfelt, then it aligns perfectly with the teachings of Jesus. Now let's turn to another point. In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus advises us to pray in secret. Some may interpret this as a prohibition against communal prayer, like praying the Rosary in the church. But the Catholic Apologist would argue otherwise. Praying in secret is a call to sincerity, to a deep personal connection with God. It doesn't mean that we can't also find connection and spiritual strength in communal prayer. These two admonitions against vain repetition and superficial prayer are not prohibitions, but rather guides to a richer, more meaningful prayer life. Other scriptural references like Matthew 6:6, Matthew 15:8-9, and Revelation 4:8 further underscore this point. So it seems the issue isn't as black and white as it first appears. The Rosary, like many religious practices, can be seen from different perspectives. The key is to approach it with sincerity and reverence, not merely as a ritual to be mechanically repeated. So, is the Rosary against the Bible? It depends on your interpretation. The persistent Inquirer argues that the Rosary contradicts biblical teachings against vain repetition. But the Catholic Apologist counters, stating even Jesus used repetition in prayer and that insincere, not all repetition, is what's cautioned against. It's key to grasp the context and intent behind religious practices. What's clear is that the debate around religious practices like the Rosary will continue to inspire thoughtful discussion and reflection.